My name's Ryan Pote, and you're watching the Crew Reviews.
When the International Space Station goes dark and NASA restores the feed to reveal a butchered crew, only one astronaut survives. She plummets to Earth in a burning capsule, crashing into the Indian Ocean, where former Navy pilot turned treasure hunter Ethan Kane drags her from the wreckage. She's the sole witness to a massacre and a key to an ancient conspiracy that can ignite global war. From debut author and former Navy helicopter pilot Ryan Pote comes a blistering crossover thriller that fuses treasure hunting with orbital terror. Some secrets are buried in the ocean. Others fall from the sky. Blood and Treasure is white-knuckle storytelling that detonates on page 1 and burns through to the last. We're going to raise a glass. Sean, look who we have on the show. We got Mr. Ryan Pote. Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers. Long-awaited interview.
Mm-hmm. I'm drinking for this interview, and today we are drinking, Sean, 4 branches, bourbon.
4 branches.
Yeah. How many branches?
Courtesy of our guest. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you guys at four branches.
Note to future guests, this is how you endear yourself.
It's really good, though. This isn't the plug, everybody.
No,
this is my new favorite bourbon.
I
Great.
told Sean, I cracked it open. I was waiting for the show to crack it open. I've had it for a little bit. It's been sitting on my shelf. Cracked it open, and I was like, Sean, this is not that I expected it to be like bad.
Right.
This
Yep.
is actually really good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to drink a little bit more of it. Get a little bit more, a couple more bottles on my shelf. So anyway, so we're here, Ryan, to talk to you about this book. Blood and Treasure comes out July 22nd.
Yeah.
We like to always set up like this, let our readers get an idea, bird's eye view, without spoilers, of course. I'm notorious for that, but it's your book if you want to give out spoilers. What can readers discover when they crack it open, like I said, on July 22nd?
All right. So when you crack it open, you are going to be, right in the prologue, you are going to be thrust into a seat in Mission Control in Houston, NASA, and there is a unknown problem with the space station. You are just right in it from the get-go. You're attached to a character, a tech who's running audio video, and they're trying to reestablish an audio and video connection with the station. And there's a lot of confusion going on, but you're right there in it with this character. And then they're able to reestablish a feed, and then what they see is pretty horrific. An astronaut on board, a lone astronaut, has murdered everybody on board, and then the station blows up. So that's how the book kicks off. So then, cut right in chapter 1, you're going to be off the coast of Mozambique. You're going to meet your protagonist. His name is Ethan Kane, and you'll learn within the first couple sentences he's a little bit of a different character than I think we've seen in the genre a little bit, and I did that intentionally. He's a veteran, but he's completely burn scarred from his neck down to his toes, and you'll learn throughout the course of the book how he got that way. And but he's a little bit different. He has a company that uses high-tech drones and sensors and equipment to do surveys for like oil rigs, gas pipelines, like anything that someone needs to survey the ground, air, land or sea, and but they also hire him to find certain things that need that kind of technology because of that. So currently, he is just like the prologue, right in the middle of recovering something for somebody under the water off the coast of Mozambique, an ancient artifact, and you're pretty much there right as he's recovering it. And we'll skip ahead a couple more chapters to kind of link it with the prologue for you. But while he's recovering this object, some people are after him. And then he sees the Soyuz spacecraft crash into the ocean, almost takes them out, kills everyone on the boat, but it misses them and lands in the water. He goes over to see what's going on, and inside is what the reader understands as the lone astronaut that was on the space station that murdered everybody. She's injured. She can't get out. She's trapped. He rescues her, and then it just turns out that the same people that are after him for the relic that he has are also after her. And you spend the rest of the book going along on an adventure, trying to figure out how the three intertwine. It's almost like a dual protagonist. The female astronaut's name is Moj Zahari, and she's an Iranian astronaut, and she's kind of the second star of the book.
So, Brian, we've known each other for several years now, become really good
Yeah.
friends, and
Yeah.
readers are going to love Ethan Kane. I've already read several Ethan Kane stories, so I know
Several
that
iterations.
so I know who he is and everything. But Blood and Treasure is this year's must-read debut. The industry knows it. Readers will discover it soon enough. But what they may not know is who you are. Like, who's Ryan Pote? So let's start there. Who are you? And how'd you get here? Not just on our show, but how'd you end up getting in this industry? I'd love to hear about your time as a military pilot, running drug interdiction missions in South America, and then your writing adventures.
Sure. Yeah, we've known each other for a while. I still actually, before we go into that, like I still remember when we first met, like we kind of like hit it off, but we didn't really become friends until like I had gone home, and then I ended up getting like my first agent. And I remember you like we had just met, but then you like FaceTimed me like right out of the blue while we were having like a family party. And I remember like that was so like that's such a personal thing to do, like FaceTime someone instead of just call them. Maybe it's not for you, but it was for me. And then ever since then we just like became really good friends. But yeah, so I was um going way back. I lived in Hawaii for a while. I was just a bartender, a scuba instructor, and then I finally got my act together after like 6.5 years and did what I always wanted to do, like enlisted in the Navy, and then I became a pilot in the Navy, became a helicopter pilot, and I thought I was going to like the Middle East, like everybody else, and all my friends are like off the coast of China, South China Sea or something like that, but because I was a sub hunting pilot, sub hunting helicopter pilot. So it was really weird when they ended up assigning me to Joint Interagency Task Force South as a counter narcotics pilot. So that was like a real big twist.
So
And then
different
once you
subs,
get,
a different kind of
yeah,
sub you're going
yeah, a
after.
different kind of sub. But it's funny because we didn't even do the subs. It was all just like special operations stuff, and that which is ironically we were never really trained for. So it became like this on the job training. With
Fun.
all the lettered government agencies.
What's the learning
It's
curve
like
on that one, man?
it's the Wild West. So it's like, we would just, you're working with countries, like Guatemala and like these countries that don't have the training that we do either. So you're just kind of, I mean, to be honest, like making it up as you go, or learning from the people who are with you that have done it before, and because the Navy didn't give us like any formal training, like they didn't, we didn't go through training to like fast rope guys out of the helo. Like we learned that on like
As the
doing
guys are
it. So
fast
it's like
roping out of the helo.
yeah. So like, because we did normal VBSS, which was like visit board search and seizure air interdiction, where we come in, like we'll disable your boat, we'll shoot your engine with a 50 cal sniper rifle, will provide air overwatch for the boarding team. But we also did HVBSS, which is helicopter visit board search seizure, where we drop off guys
That's
from the
so cool.
helo and
Like stuff you
we'll
see in the
take
movies.
yeah, yeah, take down bigger ships like
Yeah,
tankers.
yeah, dude,
Like
that's
we
so
would
cool.
track, yeah, we would track tankers because they move guns, they move
Yeah.
people. So we would track them. We have a radar. Our helicopter had a very robust radar, so we would track ships for them. We would keep an eye on them at a distance, and then we could go in, and so we were actually perfect for the mission because we had this very advanced air and sea radar, and then we could also track a drug sub if they were doing that too.
What kind of
So
helicopter were you flying?
I flew an H-60 Bravo, which no longer exists. It's retired now, but it was like a Cold War era. It's like the Navy's version of a Black Hawk for people who want to
Right.
figure out what it looks like. But if you want to see what it looked like, you can just Google it. But the movie Tears of the Sun, they used
Okay.
Bravos in that movie. So if you've seen that movie, that was the Bravo. You can tell it was the Bravo because it had a magnetic anomaly detector that looks like a torpedo, like it's all yellow, like hanging off the right side of the
Yeah,
aircraft in
right.
the back. We had all these kinds of tools and stuff.
So cool.
But yeah, but I did that mission. I did that for 12, a total of 12 years. I did 3 deployments for that. And then after that, I got injured in a hard landing. I spent like the next tour going up and down off flight status as a search and rescue pilot. I spent long, sometimes 6 months at a time, not flying, working for JAG, trying to you know, prove to them that I could still fly, like the medical boards. And then eventually, I could not fly. I got med boarded out of the Navy and the FAA.
So you get medically
And
retired because of hard crash landings?
Yeah, yeah. So I had a TBI and a severe cervical injury that just led to some stenosis and seizures. Or I had a single like kind of seizure episode while I was flying,
Yeah.
as a search and rescue pilot, where we were in a precarious position, and when it happened, I couldn't really control the aircraft anymore. And luckily, I'd had my junior pilot that I was teaching like ride the controls. We were doing what's called like a one wheel, where you put like one of the wheels on the side of the mountain. And so you put weight on the wheel and you stabilize the aircraft and you let people jump on or off. And you're in a super dangerous position because
On the
there's a lot
side
of
of a
things
mountain.
moving.
Did you say you
Yeah,
put
like a
one
hill,
wheels?
or a mountain
Yeah.
or a building.
Okay.
You'll stick one wheel down, but then it creates a weird axis of like a moment, for like angular moment for people with physics. Um, so yeah, like I had him riding the controls because he was having problems with it, and I ended up having this like locked up kind of like seizure moment,
Yeah.
and if he wasn't riding the controls, we would have all flipped over and probably would have killed everybody on board, especially because they were going inside and out. So that was like the last time I flew. I was like, I stopped trying to fight
Right.
that I was injured, and I didn't want to give up on my career, and at that moment, I kind of just had a moment of realization where it was just like, clearly I'm not getting better and this is getting worse and I'm going to kill somebody, including myself. So, I kind of just stopped fighting it and allowed the medical people to just do what they were going to do. I probably could have fought it and maybe stayed in, the Navy, but it might not have been flying. But ironically, like I worked for JAG in the interim, and did some investigations and stuff, and that ended up getting me a job afterwards, as an investigator for the DoD,
Yeah.
for
And
about like
maybe a
5
job
years.
even farther down the line. Well, we won't talk about
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I
yeah,
know. It's
pretty
so good
much. I
stuff
mean,
opens doors. So like
yeah,
I'm a full believer of everything happens for a reason, right?
it does, brother.
So you know how tragic it was getting injured, and then you leave the Navy. What'd you end up doing after that?
So I left the Navy, and I had all my jobs that were lined up were going to be flying jobs because I was going to transition over to like flying fixed wing. Because once again, I still wasn't like 100% ready to give up on the only thing that I knew how to do in
Mm,
like my career. So I figured flying a helicopter is really dangerous, but flying fixed wing aircraft is a lot less, dangerous, especially. So like the FAA, and the military, like flight docs didn't at the time that I was getting out, didn't share information. So a lot of pilots would get med boarded out, and you could still pass an FAA physical because they weren't as rigorous. So a lot of my medical data was like not shared, so I could still do that. So I was going to go fly for L3 and like do the whole C4 ISR thing. But then they shared my medical data with FAA, and
bastards.
I can't do anything like that. So I was like, okay, they found me out. So all my job prospects were pretty much on that. So I was like kind of screwed. So I was offered a position because I had done a couple criminal investigations for JAG that had kind of turned some heads at Navair, and in a good way. And they had an opening for a very niche investigator position that you needed to be an aviator to do it. So they offered it to me, but the problem was I was like getting medically retired, and so you had to wait 6 months before you could take the job. So they said, if I wanted the job, I had to start right away. So while I was waiting to retire, I just resigned. So I took a medical separation and resigned, and took that and started that. I literally resigned on a Friday, started on a Monday. So it was just a personal decision to do that. But it was great because then I got into at least a very stable job, like a good job. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but I fell into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that for like 5 years, investigating like all the military defense contractors that we give, hundreds of millions of dollars to build an aircraft, and
Disappears.
I'm the one who makes sure that your money is getting put to good use, or we take
Okay.
it back.
Well,
So
let's transition there to your
cool.
writing. The path to becoming a published author is, we all know, notoriously grueling, although not as grueling as some of the stuff you went through, and filled with rejection, which is more what Chris's high school dating life. But your story's had its shares of ups and downs. Can we start at the beginning? What first drew you to writing stories? And then
Okay.
walk us through how you landed a yes from a top tier agent and ultimately from editor that we know well, Tom Colgan at Putnam.
Sure. So I'll try and condense it because, there's a lot of ups and downs between the 2 points. But basically, when I first got out and I started that job, like there's something that, like, I never went to like a war zone or anything like that. I wasn't in combat. Like, I was doing essentially a law enforcement operation. We were doing some pretty cool stuff, some high speed, like, special operations stuff, but like, I wasn't in a combat zone. Like, we had to worry about, like man pads and all that stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, I never thought that I had a problem or had PTSD or anything like that, because I thought that those kinds of things were relegated for people who actually, saw some worse stuff, and I never really accepted that, what I did could have caused some of that stuff. So I was very like against that. When you stop flying for a very long period of time, though, like, your body's always on. Like, when you're flying every single day, I say this a lot, like the most dangerous flights I ever flew were the flights I flew at home, not the flights I flew deployed. Because when you're deployed, like, everybody is on their game. They don't have anything to worry about except the mission. And when you're home, it's like you still have to go do those flights where the helicopter can kill you. Like the story I was just talking about, flipping over. Like, that was a Tuesday, beautiful day outside. I had dinner plans with my wife that night. Like, um, so the home flights, like, you have all this other stuff to worry about. You got to mow the lawn, you got this, you got that, like, everything piles up, and you still got to go do that at the same intensity and the helicopter, doesn't pick and choose when it's going to break on you. So like, you're doing that all the time, and then when you just stop doing it, like, your body just kind of calms down from being on all the time, and you're like, adrenaline system calms down. And I started noticing it after about like the first 6 months afterwards. Like, my wife noticed it too, but I couldn't handle, like, I was a pilot of a very complex, machine. I was flying. I was on 3 different radios. I was running the radar. I was doing the FLIR. I was doing laser, like, all at once, and texting my wife for dinner. Like, and like, all of a sudden I couldn't handle more than 2 things at once. Like, multitasking was a lost ability to me. The slightest little, I would be doing one thing and I got one extra thing on top, and all of a sudden I felt like I was drowning, and I couldn't handle it. So I was panic attacks, and I couldn't really drive at night. I was having problems seeing the lights and understanding the lights coming at me, and having like little panic attacks while I was driving. Angry all the time. Like, it was just, everything was spiraling out of control. So my wife was like, I think you need to start talking to a counselor. So I accepted that I likely had a problem. Started talking to a trauma counselor. She wanted me to start journaling my experiences. I never wanted to be a writer. I never took a creative write. I never even thought of writing fiction. I just was always a reader. Didn't This was not on my trajectory, like, at all, or in my sights at all. She had me start journaling my experiences. So I started doing it, and it was super helpful. But then she wanted me to, like, share them in a group setting with a bunch of, like, just random people. And I didn't feel comfortable talking about, like, the drug cartels and stuff, because you never know who people are. And so I was like, I don't really want to do that. And she was like, just fictionalize it. Just change the person, places, things. I want, like, the experience you had and the emotions that you had, change everything else. And I was like, okay. So I started doing that. And it kind of changed everything. So I was essentially writing, like, little short stories every morning. And I did that for a while, and it was basically fixing me, and it was giving me, like, some purpose. So I'd do that in the morning before work, and nobody knew I was doing it. And then I just, one day, I think I was watching, like, a Joe Rogan podcast where he was talking about writing fiction. It was like episode 1299 with oh gosh, I forget her name. Annie Jacobson.
Oh yeah,
And he
oh
was
yeah.
talking about like just becoming a writer and what it takes to do it. And I was like, oh, maybe I could write some fiction. So I just started taking master classes. That's where I found your guys' show and stuff. Like I was watching all these author interviews and I was taking master classes and then I just started writing. So I wrote 5 books. I got an agent. I lost an agent. I was a finalist in the Clive Cussler. Yeah, Chris and I actually had the same agent at one point. I was a finalist in the Clive Cussler
Should have won
Adventure
it.
Writers competition, which Chris won, and
I think you were like 2 years
uh,
after me,
yeah, or maybe even the next
or
year.
the next
I
year.
can't
You should
remember,
have won
but
it. You should have won. Anyway.
I found that competition because of you.
Okay.
And then I submitted and then we met from there. But like literally ever since I went in that competition, like everything, the momentum started happening for me positively. Like I met Chris, we started a long friendship of going back and forth. I had got an agent. Dirk Kussler like blurbed me and that kind of helped give me some momentum. I met Mike Madden,
Oh yeah.
who became like a writing mentor of mine,
You guys
just
awesome.
decided to help me. He said, I just feel compelled to help you. And he wasn't like trying to get me an agent or anything. He was literally just reading my work and going back and forth. Got me into writing screenplays, said it would push me as a writer. And so I did that. But after like 5 novels,
Hmm.
I wasn't getting anywhere and everything was like just fell apart. Life was getting crazy. My family, personal life was just kind of spiraling out of control. And I was like, okay, this is done. Like I'm gonna self-publish everything. I'm gonna have covers made, and that's it. My mind is made up. I'm just gonna recoup the money I lost and just move on. And I was like 100% on board with that.
Oh, I
So
know
then
you were,
Mike
dude.
Matt,
I know you were.
yeah, I was like, just I'm done with it. So then Mike Madden called me one day and was like, hey, so how's it going? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna self-publish everything. And he was like, no, 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 don't do that. And I was like, you just spent like a year convincing me I should self-publish. And and he's like, no, no, no. He's like, I just not yet. He was like, a friend of mine used to be my editor at Putnam. Just got fired in the whole PRH Simon Schuster fiasco, and he just became an agent. And I think I can get him to talk to you. And I'm like, okay. But at that point, I was so like,
Yeah.
whatever,
Over it.
whatever, Mike. I was like, what is he gonna do for me? Like, because at this point, I got it all figured out. Okay, sure, I'll talk to him. So then, like, he emails him, and it ended up being Mark Tavani, who was 22-year, editor at Putnam, probably going to end up being the publisher at Putnam. Like, he was the real deal, and he
Yeah.
had edited Clive Cussler, C.J. Box. I mean, you name it. So, anyways, Mike, reached out, said some very nice things about me. He agreed to chat with me, so we chatted. I sent him a book, which is the one on your shelf, and he it was the 4th book that I had written, not even the 5th one. He liked it. I wouldn't say he loved it at first. He liked it. He spent the next 3 months vetting me. Like we were talking on the phone almost every other day. He asked for everything I've ever written. He read them all. We had in-depth conversations about each book. Um, he asked me a lot about my personal life. Um, he gave me some like pretty strong um, editing advice, and it was vetting me though. Like the chapter 1 and 3 in this book were not there before I met Mark Tavani, and he like right off the bat like wanted me to do some changes to the opening of the book, and he was really just testing me to see if he went through all this trouble to get us a deal that, and they said, yeah, but you got to change the whole book, that I would at least say yes, and he wouldn't waste his time.
Mm.
And anyways, so we developed a great friendship. He took me on as a client, which he didn't really have to take on. He had so many people banging on his door. He took me on. He went out to 10 different publishers. We kind of had some interest, but the only offer we got was Tom Colgan. And then
That's a big
yeah,
offer,
so
though,
we
man.
got it. And then just like Tavani had warned me, they wanted us to change the whole plot. So to buy it. So I had to go back in and make a decision, like, can I do this or not? And I made the decision that I was going to do it. And yeah, change the whole plot. But it came out, it was better. It's better. It's better now. I think it was every
I agree.
suggestion. and it was a suggestion. It wasn't like a, but they weren't going to buy it otherwise. And it
Right.
had to do with like the sensitive political nature of something. I'm not going to throw them under the bus. It was a sensitive political nature of something, which ironically though now is kind of on the front pages everywhere. And but it was better. It was better for it. So yeah,
It's funny because
that's
I've read previous iterations of this story, and yeah, I can echo that
yeah.
that it was a great story to begin with. It's just an even better story now.
Like Chris
Yeah.
has been talking about this story for a long time. I mean,
I've been
since
talking
the
about you for
earlier iteration, just
yeah.
to me, and let me.
I mean, thank you. That's what I found so far in this process is there's a lot you could say negative about publishing, but like from what I've seen so far, no one has told me what to write. Even with that example, it was just like, hey, we like it the way it is. However, we got to make this change but everything else has been um, just a recommendation here. No one's ever told me what to do specifically. No one has directed. I've been given the book back and allowed to make a ton of changes and then give it back. And it's really funny, like they're calling it a crossover thriller now. There's like a supernatural, paranormal element in the book that was not there. Nobody asked for that. I got like Tom Colgan gave it back to me. I got my edits back really quickly, and they had time to let his assistant like edit it. So his assistant did a pass and then gave it back to me, and that gave me another chance to like look at the book. So like I had been sitting on my hands for a month just thinking about the book. So when she gave it back to me, all of a sudden I went right back into it with some notes from somebody else that I'd had, and it was actually who became my film agent, to lean into that like supernatural paranormal element. So I ended up giving them back a book that was totally different than what they bought, and nobody batted an eye, and they just kept going. So I got like in that respect, it's been really really cool because the book has just gotten better with everyone who's touched it. So
Yeah, I can echo that. So, but front and center of that book is Ethan Kane, right? He's a
yeah,
fascinating protagonist with a background I don't think I've seen before. I don't think readers have seen before. It's
yeah.
very compelling. But there are aspects of him that are familiar. He's a little bit of Dirk Pitt, a little bit Indiana Jones, maybe some Ethan Hunt, with
Yeah.
a healthy dash of you, bro. Because I know I could just I
Oh,
see it.
because you know me so well,
Yeah,
so you
I
can
know,
see it.
I know you, so I could see it. Um, so given all that, is that how you would characterize him?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like he's got all the things that I liked in characters that I read. I also really like I wouldn't call myself a gamer, but I did enjoy video games too. Like I really enjoyed the Uncharted video game series. The Nathan Drake character was very influential, I think, on me as well. The storytelling was very good in those games. But yeah, I think that's accurate. He's definitely got a Dirk Pitt-esque nature to him. I mean, I read every Clive Cussler
Right.
book that there was, so it like subliminally like informs my writing. But yeah, he's also like got a little bit of me because his character was me working through my own problems. So those just kind of naturally came out. Now, like he's definitely different than me, but like when it comes to like writing a line or something like that, I don't have to think about what the character would do. I just kind of go from what I would say or whatever.
Right.
So in that respect, yeah, he's definitely pulling from me. He's also kind of like I've said recently when people have asked some different questions about it, he's kind of a memorial of like two people as well. Like what? So, so like I had a helicopter fire where we landed. I was able to walk away, and so was my crew. But it would, I mean, you know, 10 seconds left or right, I would have been in a completely different boat. If
Wow.
if even alive. And unfortunately, I had one friend of mine who died. He burned to death in an V-22 in Hawaii. It was a training mission that crashed.
That's the
Well,
Osprey, right?
it was a hard landing. Yeah, it was an Osprey, and he was the only one on board who died. He burned to death. And I'd always thought about that because my incident, like I was almost basically him, and like I know the aftermath of that, and I just would always think about my family and my wife and everything. Like that could have easily just been me on the news report, my picture or whatever. So I always thought about that, especially after that incident. And then I had a friend of mine from flight school who, or excuse me, he wasn't in flight school with me. He was a little bit older, but I became friends with him good friends, and when he was in flight school, he crashed an aircraft, and he was burned very identical to Ethan Kane's, where my inspiration for it came. He had horrific scars. He was in body cast for 4 years, and um, all across his body. But if he was wearing normal clothes, like a long sleeve shirt or whatever, no one really could tell.
Hmm.
It was when someone saw him with his shirt off or sleeves up, or they really looked at his hands closely, or like whatever, something was off about him, and kids would cry when they walked by him, and like, but he was just like, I'm good, like but all those little things about Ethan Kane not being able to sweat and not being able to control his like temperature. This guy dealt with that all the time, and it was just kind of like no big deal to him. But he was constantly dealing with pain every single day, and he just like would just shrug it off and go through his day. So that guy was an inspiration as well. So like I took a lot of different people and kind of mashed them into this character, but I wanted to write a disabled character. I thought that like a lot. You always see like a veteran who's got like PTSD or whatever, and I think my character does have some issues like that because I was working through him as well. But it's not like the focus of him. Like the focus of him is he has these physical scars that other people see and make judgments on him about, and are a mystery to other people, but to him, they don't. To him, they don't really affect him. And that's just my experience. So I thought it would be, I'm glad that it came across real, but yeah, I thought when I was writing a thriller character, I haven't seen some character like
Yeah,
that before.
definitely haven't seen it.
No, and
Yeah.
it's
So
hard to get something new and unique in this genre, and it stands out when you see it. So congrats on that.
thanks,
Um,
Sean.
well, going from character kind of to plot, this is a globe-trotting story. Pits Iranians against Americans. It features space stations. It features treasure hunting, Cold War weapons, and biblical artifacts. And as you said, a supernatural element. But given current world events, the timing feels really relevant. How do you feel about releasing the story now in this present, and I mean immediately present climate?
Yeah. It's funny because when the plot was being changed, it was for a similar reason, and worry about that. And now it's like, full bore now. You can't really hide from it, and the book's already coming out. Um, that wasn't like my intention to like predict, like other thriller authors are like always trying to be on the headlines and stuff. And I was trying to write the opposite of that. I was trying to write something that, would have legs to age, better than like the headline chasers. But like, tensions between Iran and Israel and the United States, like those have been there for a long time, long before the United States was even formed, and will probably be there forever. So it's kind of a safe bet. So I don't think I can call it prophetic or anything like that. If anyone just knows anything about history, um, and has even just been watching the headlines for our lifetime, like it's just been bubbling over. But yeah, like now it's eerie though that as it started to happen, like because we all do research and we do pay attention. So when I did write it, like now that as it's unfolding, like it is eerily similar.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've even said that, like, damn, like, what's going on, man?
I mean
Yeah.
there's always stuff going on all around the world, and there's always tension and crisis, and of course there's still Russia and Ukraine, but the flashpoint right now is Iran, and
Yeah.
it's an inescapable news story. So it seems,
And I think like the geopolitics that I put behind it are coming more to the forefront now. Before, I think they were lesser known, and now people understand that there's economic ties between China and between Iran, and Pakistan is kind of in the middle of that. And um, people are realizing that there are secret underground facilities all over Iran. If they didn't know that, the average person probably understands now that the Iranian people don't control their own country, and the government doesn't even really control their own country. So a lot of the things that I put in there that might, I don't know, a couple of years ago have seemed like a really cool fiction web, like were actually based more on reality. So I think now it's probably giving my story like a new dimension that I think before felt more like fiction, and now people are realizing maybe it's not as fiction as they thought.
yeah, but it still has the thing I love about it is it has that immediacy, but it still has the escapism elements to it that will allow people to get lost in the fiction, they won't think you're writing a documentary. So it's
Right.
kind of the perfect mix of both. Well, the extensive research you've done, it permeates the story, but you never drown readers in the exposition, and as anybody that's written anything like this knows, that's a tough balance to strike. The necessary information, it unfolds organically like a flower blooming. So, as a debut author, how did you master that balance?
Well, I don't think I've mastered it. I don't think anyone's really mastered it, but it's just copying and learning and well, I was copying, imitating technique. And um, I'll just say like I had five iterations of writing books to really hone, and Chris knows because we were friends throughout the middle of this. Like um, there's a writer that writes something and then just moves on to the next thing and maybe take some classes, but like I like took apart what I would write. Like I would write something and then as I went into the next book, I wouldn't just write another book. I would be like, what did I do wrong in this other book? What did I learn? And I'm constantly learning new things. I really wanted to understand what I was doing in the books before, like the techniques, how to create suspense, like the academic sense of it, so that I could understand what I was doing. Um, and I think it just it finally just started coming out in the book. So like just I just didn't stop learning. I didn't stop learning, and
I
I
saw
think
that, Ryan, when because you would share your books with me, and I'd read them, and I read like one of your first ones, then you read the next one. I think it was like your third book, maybe. I was like, holy crap, dude, you totally leveled up. I was like, you're
oh
like a
yeah,
different writer. And then we
yeah.
talked about all the research that you had done, and I was like, man, I'm not doing enough. Like you're just
Or you mean like research into writing, like
research into the
yeah,
craft, right? And I was like,
yeah.
I thought I was doing like reading books and like you're like, no, you got to look at this guy, you got to read this and take this master class. And I was like, I'm clearly not invested enough in me because I see you as an example. And you're the type of person, just because I know you, like you're all in. Like how the Greg Hurwitz thing. How you do anything is how you do everything. Like if you're not all in, you're
Yeah.
not doing it. And like there was a
Yeah.
like you're all in, dude. Like writing is
Yeah.
nothing.
Like I didn't dabble when oh, sorry, go ahead, Sean.
No, 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 go ahead.
Well,
We're
I
here,
I
we're here
didn't
about
da-
you.
I didn't I didn't dabble. Like when I decided to do this, and I liked it, and it became my passion, and it became kind of like my new, like just it became my ultimate focus. And I didn't just decide, okay, I'm gonna write a book and I'm gonna try and get published. I decided that I'm going to dedicate, like when I said, like to my wife, like I'm gonna take 5 years and try and get published. If I don't get published, I'll move on. So this, ironically, this July is going to be 5 years to the date. But
That's
the
awesome, dude.
yeah, that's it's it's beyond me. But
Amen.
I like shrunk my circle. Like people want to know like how did you dedicate yourself to this? Like I shrunk my circle. I gave up friendships. I didn't give them up, but like I just let them kind of you know dilute a little bit. I just shrunk my circle. I gave up my hobbies, and I just focused on this. So if it wasn't work, family, like my kids, my current job, then it was this. It was all this. So um, it's hard not to burn out when you're doing that. You just got to balance everything out. But I treated it like a job before it was a job. Monday through Friday, 4 to 7. I'm at the keys.
4 a.m. to 7. 4 a.m. to 7. Yeah.
4 a.m. to 7. Yep, yep. Alarm goes off. Well, I get like a cup of something going, and then by like 4:15, I'm down at the keys, and I go until the alarm goes off, and then I go work out, and then I start my day like it never happened, like
Hmm.
it just and so I typically don't write like during the day. Like if I have like a break in work, like any normal person, like I might go back and look at something or like have an idea for tomorrow, but I'm not actually like doing the creative process. So
One of the things you said that struck me because it's very difficult for me to do it is I'll know something doesn't work. I'll often know when something doesn't work, or I'll put it down and then read it and go, this doesn't work. But I have a very difficult time seeing in my own work what's not working because I'm so close to it, unless I put it away for
Mm,
a long time. That's where I kind of rely on Chris or
yep.
my friend Bill Schweigert or
Mm,
other people to go, yeah, this is where I'm struggling. And was
yes.
that difficult to did those things sort of like stick out like a neon sign to you, or did you really have to hunt for those flaws?
That's a great question. In the beginning, I couldn't see the forest for the trees. I would read my own work and not know what I was looking at. The first two books were like that. And then I read a book that changed everything, and it was Rennie Brown's How to Edit Yourself into Print. Um, that might be the
Yeah, dude, you told me about that book.
I'm
Made
getting
me a better writer.
so self. It's called it's the self editing for fiction writers. How to edit yourself into print, and I've
Oh, wait.
flagged it up in
Let me get my
in
copy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yours
Washington.
has
Yeah,
notes like mine
yeah.
has all.
Oh
I
yeah,
noticed Chris didn't pass on this
my
wisdom.
Of
Bible.
course I did, Sean. You
So
talking about?
this book teaches you the old blue pencil way of editing before
Oh yeah.
publishing changed. And it's not the editing that you think. It's broken down into 12 chapters that focus on the basics of writing and teach you the traps that we all fall into. Like for instance, like the difference between show and tell. And I always when I first started, even taking a bunch of master classes, like I always thought show versus tell was like, okay, I need to visually describe this thing. I need to give you more of the five senses, right? Like I need to like make you feel immersed. And that's not what show and tell is. So
Mhm.
show and tell is so for instance, there's an example in here about the Great Gatsby, and it gives you like this it cuts up the Great Gatsby, and it has the narrator telling you all about Gatsby and who he is and like all this information about him, and you're just reading it. It's very dry, but it's like, a typical passage that any one of us would write. And then the next chapter is like, now let's show you instead of tell you. And it doesn't even have the narrator in it. It doesn't even have Gatsby in it. They're at a party and there's three people just talking about Gatsby, and they're gossiping and they're chit chatting and they're coming up with their rumors, and they build this picture of who Gatsby is by the end of this, but you don't at the same time. They built this mysterious like aura around him, and they accomplished in a much more effective way by showing you in a scene um, that you feel immersed in because you're in this conversation with them, and the way they wrote it. So it's stuff like that's in this book, and once I learned that, it like flipped a switch in my head, um, that let me see, because that's just one small example of what's in this book. The rest, like another mantra is like resist the urge to explain.
Yeah, Rue.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, Rue. So like going through this book, like that was a mantra of mine. Like when I was writing, resist the urge to explain everything. You don't have to tell the reader everything. Like intentional confusion and intentional mystery is a good thing if you know where you're going with it. So like um hearing, learning these things and actually applying them and studying them, not just reading it, like studying them, it unlocked something in my brain. And like Chris said it earlier, like, oh, you leveled up. Like Dirk Kussler told me that too. Like when he read this book, um he he sent us an email and he was just like, I don't know what you did, but you leveled up. And it's so funny because it was the same words. And then I figured out what it was. It was this book, because that was the difference between my writing. Yeah, it's a fantastic book. I
I
think it
love
was
this book,
just
man. I love
and
this
now
book.
I can read my own stuff like from a totally different perspective. It's actually ruined reading for me forever, actually. Like, so
It
beware,
has, dude.
because
'Cause
you
you can see other
can't
people's
even enjoy,
mistakes.
yeah, I can't enjoy fiction anymore. And then like I'll throw one more out.
Oh, he's going into the wheel well. What is he got now?
There's only two books that I think like I really need. Like I pretty much have cast off all other ones. This one is just as good as that one. This one is it's for screenwriters, but it applies to storytelling. It's Writing for Emotional Impact by Carl Iglesias, Carl with a K. And in that book, so if the first book I said like explained like the mechanics of writing and like telling a story, this book explains how like the actual like literary mechanics behind creating suspense. All the different ways you can create suspense. You know, like uh, so you understand what you're doing. Like
Ryan,
for instance, like
put it up again.
oh,
Put it up again. Let the reader see that again. Emotional impact.
so this one is
Writing.
all tagged up too. But like one thing is like, you know, are you withholding information? Like how are you withholding information? Is it reader inferior position or reader superior position? Like does the
Mhm.
reader know something the characters don't know? Do the characters know something the readers don't know? And then it breaks those down even further and breaks them down again. And it gives you like the actual tools in the toolkit to apply to your story, for creating suspense, for you know, finishing endings. And it's an incredible book. But it also changes the way you look at stuff forever.
Hence
Those
why, Sean, he leveled up.
these two books change the way I look at my own writing. So that, like, long answer to it, but
A great
figured
long
I'd share
answer,
that
though.
with everybody.
It's phenomenal.
And I didn't find these on my own, by the way. Like, so this, I took a master class from a literary fiction writer, like totally someone I wouldn't even read, but I took every master class out there because I thought every author had something to teach. So, and then they recommended this book, and I was like, well, they recommended it, I'm gonna try it. So then, like, so I found this, and then Mike Madden recommended this one to me. So yeah,
That's what
so
this show is, Sean. It's
Yeah.
about discovering all the techniques and that every other writer has put through
yeah.
so that we don't have to do it ourselves.
But
We just leech off of you
long
guys.
story short, it was a lot of freaking work
Yeah.
to figure it out. It was a lot of work. And I would say now, you know, it probably comes a lot easier because it's ingrained in my head. But I still reread those books before I write anything. I'll
So do
go
I.
through them again.
Yeah,
So
I've
it
read
goes to
this.
the sign. It goes to the sign over his shoulder. Nobody cares. Work harder. I like that sign.
Yeah,
It's
man.
true.
That's all I got in here.
Hey, Ryan, how many times have you read it?
Dude, I mean,
Don't even know.
twice for each book.
Yeah.
So that's at least 12 at this point. But then
Yeah.
I also have written a bunch of other stuff that's not books, that's not out there yet. So I've read it before each one of those. So easily at least over 20 times.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
It's awesome. All right, so let's pivot back to the book for a second, or
Okay.
more than a second. So despite being a pilot, Ethan isn't comfortable with heights. Kind of funny.
Yeah.
Is that common among pilots, as I ask a pilot? And so, like, what about you? Do heights make you squeamish?
Oh yeah. I do not like heights.
That's crazy.
And yeah, it's weird. Like I can't speak for a lot of people, and I don't know if I've ever really asked a lot of people that or not, but it's very, like, I am terrified of heights. Like I even going up on a high ladder, I get a little squeamish. And you know, people might be like, oh, and you know, I've this has come from guys like jumped off of like 60-foot waterfalls and stuff like that. Like I did that because I just, you know, you fake it till you make it kind of thing. Like you just pretend to have confidence
Pretend.
because yeah, because you're trying not to be the guy who won't do it.
Yeah.
But like yeah, like when you're flying an aircraft, it's weird when you're in the cockpit and you feel the lift take over on the aircraft, or you feel like, because I flew fixed wing too. It just doesn't feel like heights for some reason. I can't really describe it. It doesn't feel like heights. Even doing aerobatics in that, in like a small like T-34 or whatever we did aerobatics in flight school, never felt, you know, like that. You know, doing some like hard maneuvers low in an H-60, like never felt like flying. It's a very strange sensation. Even when you have like the gunner's belt on and you're in the
Yeah.
cabin and you're hanging your feet out the side, it still never really felt like heights. It's really, and people might not be able to understand that, but like just take it for what it's worth. Like I did it, and I never was
That's so
got that
funny,
weird
dude.
feeling. But put me on a building top and I'll get vertigo and I'll get sick to my stomach and just looking over the edge.
Same,
So
same. Dude,
yeah.
I used to do that for the. I used to have to take pictures for when I was a Secret Service agent, and I would be on the gunner's belt and be like hanging outside. We use a lot of Coast Guard helicopters, so like a Dolphin, and so I'd be hanging out the side. Dude, I'm terrified of heights. My wife will tell you, like terrified. But I'd be hanging out the side, like half out of the helicopter, just snapping photos. It was
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's weird. So yeah, I put that into the character just because it's
No, I loved it. I loved it.
one more real thing you can add, you can give them, you know, that doesn't seem gimmicky.
Yeah, no. So one pivotal scene that takes place is in one of the world's most remarkable churches, the rock-hewn church I'm not going to pronounce the name because I won't get it right, but it's in Ethiopia.
Una Yamatagu.
There you go. It's sometimes called the Church in the Sky. So tell our audience a little bit about this location and why it's important to your story.
Well, I don't want to give too much away about
Yeah,
why
what
it's
you,
important
yeah,
to the
okay.
story, but yeah, so like part of the story takes place in Ethiopia, and there's a link to the ark. For those that we kind of jumped ahead, but early in the book, you learn what our main character's after, the Ark of the Covenant, or is it? But there's some historical judo and some historical connections to Ethiopia and the ancient kingdom of Axum in there, and there are just some really amazing churches in ancient Ethiopia. And if you ever look back, ancient Ethiopia goes way back to biblical times, like Old Testament times, and um, there, when the Israelites lost the Ark of the Covenant, King Solomon's, King Solomon's reign, you had the Queen of Sheba in Ethiopia, and they had, um, in the Old Testament at least, there is a documented, like conversational type relationship with them. But there's other like extra biblical works, like one is in the Kebra Nagast, is an Ethiopian tradition book that explains that they had a child together, and that child, may have had something to do with the Ark of the Covenant. And
Mm.
so that's probably as far as I'll take it without
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
anything else away. But the churches in ancient Ethiopia are just absolutely amazing. They're most of them are cut from like
In stone.
one stone.
Yeah,
Um, you
I'm
know,
gonna put pictures in as you're talking.
okay, yeah,
And
and then Abuna
overlay it.
Yamata Gu is one of many like what they call raccoon churches, which are cut out, but it's one in particular that's like the highest church ever. It's pretty inaccessible. Like I've posted some videos about it to show people because I think it's fun, and clearly it's in the book. But I mean, we're talking like 1,600 feet, like above sea level, like pretty high up.
Yeah, there's no guide
And
rails. It just steps are cut into
yeah,
the
and these
stone, and good luck
people
getting to it.
climb every morning. Like some people strap their babies to their back and they're climbing.
Mm.
And when I say climb, like they're vertically
Yeah.
climbing. They're leaping over gaps. They're walking along, ledges that just fall to your death. Um, and they'll go to this church every morning, and it's like wild. And there's like one, priest that's assigned to it. And anyways, so like uh, I I saw that church, and just the adventure of it was like
Oh, dude, I love
calling.
this scene. I love it.
Nobody had written about it, and
Yeah.
so once I found out those three things, like nobody really written about it. It had that adventure element. It was where I needed to go. It was going to find its way into the
You
into
gotta
the
take your shoes
story.
off. Take your shoes off.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on
just
up.
it breathed a whole like a like a really different vibe into
Yeah,
the story, I thought.
I loved it.
So yeah.
Parents jumping off with children strapped to their back make me think that child services isn't as big in Ethiopia as it
Yeah,
is.
I know. Seriously, you can watch like some crazy videos of people going up to this thing, and then they got to come down. That's the thing that you forget when you're watching
Yeah.
them go up. Is like they got to get down.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
a phrase that I learned in the Knights of Columbus, memento mori.
Yeah.
This phrase appears throughout the story. Um, what is its relevance to you personally, and why is it so central to the narrative?
Um, yeah, so it kind of just came out. So like a lot of the book is dealing with some deeper themes. Um, so memento mori, if people don't know, it's Latin. It means remember that you. It's essentially translates to remember that you must die. Remember that like all this life is just kind of it's to put life in perspective for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have kind of gone deeper into it to pull out other meanings, like about people who live with regret, people who have you know um, aspirations of just all the kinds of things. Like it just encompasses living a simple life to the fullest in the moment. And this book deals with a lot of regret and trust issues and things between almost every single character in this book is having some kind of issue with another character in their own way. So it almost like anybody who's reading it is going to be able to relate one of these relationships that are in here, and they're all very relatable issues, whether it's like an intimate relationship problem of trust, or a personal problem of trust with someone you worked with, or and then someone dealing with the regret of that afterwards, and then being faced with it again, like head on. So like Mike, the character in the book, Bob Moretti, and the mysterious character Mojda Sahedi, are kind of like the focal point of that. Um, so yeah, I mean, it found its way into the book because I was just constantly rereading it like 100 times, going through edits and stuff, and when you just keep reading your own book that many times, you start finding the things that were in it that you didn't really see, the deeper themes that were in it, and then it's easier to pull them to the surface because you've read it so many times, you finally found them. So this was one of those things that I pulled to the surface a little bit later, that I thought added a little bit more to
No,
those
definitely.
relationships. Yeah, to go deeper.
Well, and there's also the mention of lion's milk in the book. What is it exactly, and have you tried it?
Yeah. So Halib al-Assad. So I'm
Wait,
loving
wait, say
his
it again because I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Halib al-Assad.
Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't tried it. I know of it. I come from like a Lebanese family. It's what's called Arak, Arak in English. But it's a liquor of the anise seed. So it's kind of like similar to like sambuca or like something like that. It's a clear liquor. And what's interesting about this liquor, though, is like the science behind the oils in the mixture. So, like to make lion's milk, you have to make it in a specific way to draw the oils out and emulsify the fat properly. So, for instance, if you just like mix it and put the like cold ice in on top of, so you pour it in thing and you put ice on top or water on top or whatever, it will draw the oils out to the surface, because of the difference in temperature, and then you get like this cloudy, snotty like curds. So if you put the ice in first or the water in first, and then you slowly pour it on top, it actually like emulsifies it. It turns into a white liquid that's like a very sweet drink, and like it's very popular
No, dude, you
in
learned that. You
Lebanon,
learned that in
in
the book, and
Israel.
yeah, you learned that in the
Yeah,
book, and I'm just like, this is
yeah,
if I'm ever in country, I'm gonna like, dude, you're doing that wrong. Like, no, they,
yeah. I mean, I was gonna actually send you initially. I was gonna send you guys some of that, and maybe we could make one of
you
those
try
drinks
it.
and try it for the first time. But like, it's
I
so
would
much
mess it
better to
up,
have
dude. I'd
bourbon.
be
Like,
drinking
yeah, that's
snot.
why yeah, I had the bourbon in there too, because I'm like, it's such a weird drink. Like, you can barely even find it. Like,
Yeah,
um,
Ethan doesn't like it. He lies
no,
about it, but
he doesn't like it.
like, no.
That
He
would
doesn't
have
like it.
Chris. That would have ended up like one of our infamous early episodes
Yeah, it
with
would have
training.
been smashed, asking you questions, totally blitzed, blind, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
So so Ryan, how was writing this book or becoming a writer in general? How does it change you in ways you didn't expect?
Ooh, coming out with the big guns. I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
This
good
is his
question.
Dr. Phil portion of the show.
Yeah. I Man, I don't know. I think you know what I'll say to that? I think it has activated a deeper level of drive and commitment than I had before, and that I even knew I had. Like, now that like I've you know, quote unquote, like made it through the finish line that every author wants to make it through. I think a lot of people would just kind of raise up their hands, sit back, have a glass, wait for their book to come out, follow along with everything everybody's doing. I didn't have that experience. I got to the top of the mountain and I was just like, where's the next mountain? Like, where, like, I did not have that feeling like I was able to sit down and just rest. I felt like, nope, I'm on the precipice. I have momentum. Now is the time to work. So like I found a deeper level of commitment and reserves that I didn't even know I had to really start pushing the envelope. Like, I thought I was working hard before writing my, book at a time, okay, move on to my next book, like with the job. But now it's like, if I'm not working on another project in some way, shape, or form, or I'm not doing something for this book, or I'm not writing extra tie-in content, or I'm not doing something that's like um, pushing the envelope further and higher, and like just trying my absolute hardest to make this book not only different in not just the way it was written, like how it's rolled out, how it's received along the way. Like I've been just like studying authors that died on the vine at book 2, died on the vine at book 4, and like why, and like what did they not do, like what is everybody else doing that they tell you to do, and that, and um so I've been, yeah, so I'm not
No,
gonna,
dude,
I could just talk forever.
Ryan, you're an inspiration because I people are only seeing this book that's going to come out, right? This
Mhm.
Blood and Treasure coming out on July 22nd. People are only seeing that. But I know because we have a relationship, I know all the stuff, all the other side projects, all the other things you have just waiting in the wings, just ready to roll out. I've
Yeah.
seen it all. I've seen the dedication, and you're an inspiration to me and to others. And when they see it all roll out, dude, you're gonna reap the reward from all that hard work that people aren't seeing. Like you're just we said this about Sean S.A. Cosby.
Mhm.
Like he didn't just appear,
Right.
right? It may
There's
have
no,
looked like he just appeared.
there's
He
no
won all
overnight
these awards.
successes.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's a ton of work behind the scenes that people aren't even aware of. That I
Yeah.
pray that everyone gets to read all the really cool things you do have coming out.
Well, yeah, man, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, whether or not it ends up being successful or not, like we'll never know, right? All I can do is put it all, for a football reference for Sean, because I was, even despite my petite stature, I was an all conference quarterback in high school. But
Oh, okay.
uh
Hey, I didn't know that.
I leave it, yeah, there's something you didn't know. I leave it all out. I have to leave it all out on the field if I'm really going to go for this. If I'm going to be able to like look, at my wife and kids and be like, look at all this time I took away. I've got to just leave it all out there. So that means like everything that I can possibly do. Um, yeah, I'm doing. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, I'm busier than I've ever been before, but I'm happier than I've ever been before because I'm like here and I'm doing it, and I'm just like not asking for anybody's permission. So, um, yeah. Do you want me to say some of the things that I've?
Yeah, dude. So,
Okay.
I mean, whatever you want. Like, there's stuff I want to say because I'm like super excited
Well, I
for you. But whatever you want to give out and
Yeah,
see.
I mean, so I'll start by saying that a lot of people like readers. Let's just talk about for the readers that are watching this, or that are going to listen to this in the future. Like, you find a new series that you like. Like, let's say you read my novel and you really enjoy it. You really enjoy the uniquely familiar, different take on the genre, and you want more. You're not going to be able to find more because my next book doesn't come out until
I
June
know,
2026.
right?
But it has a title and a publishing date,
We'll
June
get that.
2nd,
We'll get that. We'll get
2026. Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Um, but so like there's nothing you can read from me. And like most authors are just, taking a picture of themselves with their book and putting it up there. And I'm not knocking them. Like people just don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And they're, putting pictures of them just, having dinner with other authors and like stuff like that. And that's all great. Um,
What's Ryan Pote
but
doing though?
yeah, so what I want to do is give, that small group of people, and I'm not disillusional, like it's probably going to be very small at the beginning, who really enjoy the character and really latch onto it. I want to reward them and hang on to them and put them on a conveyor belt to the second book. So I am going to be like um unleashing for,
Hmm.
and everything that I've done is free and not monetized. So I will be unveiling between books 1 and 2 a series of interactive tie-in content experiences that aren't just an ebook or a short story or a novella. I mean, we're talking like a video, like take short story and video game and blend them together. Um, so
For free.
there are, yes. So what I'll tell you will tell you now is that there are codes, there are secrets, there are things to unlock inside this book. So when you
Within the
read it,
book. Within the
when
book.
you read it,
Yeah.
you'll need to keep your copy. You'll need to bookmark my website because the two will interact. So my website is the landscape for the treasure hunt. So the book is what you need to unlock it. So as you go through the book, and you won't really be able to figure it out. I think I did a fairly good job of keeping it hidden on its own. But once I kind of like tease out, the first prompt, if you will, you'll be able to hunt my website,
Yep.
find the secret passages, and then when you get to the wall, if you will, you'll be able to figure out the mystery using the book, if you've read it. And if you read it, it's not like you have to like search too hard for it. Like you'll know where it is, and you probably have to go back to get it. And you'll be able to unlock things, and you'll go into the world of Ethan Kane, and you'll be able to get more tie-in content.
I've
There's
unlocked some of
stuff.
it already. I just want to say
Yeah,
I've unlocked some.
there's extra stuff that I put a lot of work into that
Yeah,
that
you
you'll
have.
be able to that tie directly into the book, that are written in a way that's very enjoyable for someone who's already read the book. It's not intended for someone who hasn't read the book. I mean, it could be. You could read it that way, but um and then so that I'll be dripping those things out. And then I have something really big planned for Christmas time as well, which I don't really want to give too much away.
But I
But
love it though, dude. I love it.
yeah, it's the marrying of video game and story, and it's going to involve my website, and that's going to be an interactive experience that's free, that's short, that's quick, that there's going to be prizes, and will give you a lot of information about book two, and can be enjoyed long after you I'll say play it the first time.
Yeah, you can
Um,
keep going back to the beginning.
yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah. So I've done that, and then there's a lot of Easter eggs and things for the future. So like this book, it's not just going to get dusty on the shelf. Like as you move through the series, like things are going to be relevant, and you're going to need to go back for certain things as so it's going to be an experience. The whole series is going to be an experience, that everyone can just read and enjoy, or if they really want to get into it, there's a lot of fun stuff ahead.
Dude, I love that aspect of it. And it's something,
Exciting
yeah,
and
it's truly exciting.
innovative
Yeah.
there's not a lot of innovation in this
Well, I'll throw the other one out there
Yeah,
too
please
now.
do.
So by the time this comes out, it should be good. But at the moment I'm saying this, Tom Colgan has zero idea that this is even
I
happening.
love it.
My agent does, but there's really nothing they can do about it. So I needed to do nothing to the cover.
Yeah, here's the cover.
Um,
Here's the cover. Beautiful.
yeah, I have had made an augmented reality interactive experience on the hardcover.
What does that
So
mean?
so I'll have a QR code with a link that'll be coming out, probably in a couple of weeks now, or from now. So I don't know when this is going to come out, but shortly before the book's launched, you'll be able to scan the QR code and then point your camera at my book, or click a link and point your camera at my book on any smartphone, and you will have an augmented reality experience that is interactive, has a little bit of a puzzle element to it. There's going to be a code that if you do the interactive thing that's released, that's going to get you really big discounts on some of the stuff behind me here. And then there's a really cool experience after that you get to kind of
that's awesome. That's
see,
fantastic.
that tease you up into the book.
I'm just gonna say right
Um,
now.
He's
I'm
not
just gonna,
resting
and
on his laurels.
it's just the beginning. It's just the beta. Like honestly,
dude, I
I
know.
wanted to do something different, but now, like now that I've done it and it works, it's something you're gonna see on another level the next time around, like another
Sean,
level.
I just want to say, because Ryan told me about this a little bit ago, and I was like, dude, that is crazy. And then we talked about it. I'm like, crazy in like a good way. Every book's gonna do it. He's starting it. It's gonna be a trend.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Everybody's gonna do it. Anybody
Or if maybe not to the extent that I'm doing it, because like I said, like this
in
was like
some
a
way or
beta
another,
thing.
they
Like,
will. They will.
yeah. Like I've like for the next one that we're doing, it's even more in depth and bigger because I didn't really know what you could do, and fun limited, like I didn't want to sink a lot into it, but yeah, like at a minimum everyone's going to at least have their book trailer on it, like like a augmented reality book trailer or something like that. But mine's a little bit more, so if you're someone who likes to throw away the dust jacket, you probably won't want to throw away the dust jacket.
Yeah, I hate when I lose a dust jacket. Well, that's the good news. That's the treasure part of the hunt. Now let's talk about the blood. No,
Yeah.
there's
How many
there's
people
Yeah.
die?
there's many tasks you have to go through to do, and
Let's
they're all
do it.
life threatening. Now, so back to the book for a minute.
Okay.
Inside the book. So
Yes.
Blood and Treasure seamlessly blends together, and I mean seamlessly, techno thriller,
Thank you.
adventure, and historical. Was this genre mixing intentional from the start, or did it evolve organically as you kind of went through iterations of the story?
I think I said a little bit, like it definitely evolved as I went through iterations of the story, getting some tips and getting honestly being allowed to get another hack at the book. Um, and like I said before, when you read your book that many times,
Hmm.
you really do start and you're just all in, like you really do start seeing other things come out that were there. So there's a little bit of that, but like to be honest, like this is the third Ethan Kane book I ever wrote. So like, Ethan Kane's like backstory and stuff, it was really easy to develop him because he's already got two books behind him, like,
Gotcha.
in terms of a story. So, I kind of like had some training ground with him, but these were there from the beginning. Like Chris has read like my earlier stuff, and it's not too different from what you're getting in this book. Like it was always there. I think I just am a better writer now and able to pull it off in a
100%.
better way.
Yeah, 100%.
But you were going for kind of a multi-genre story from the
Yeah,
get-go.
yeah, and I didn't intentionally do that. Like, I'll make this quick, but like when I wrote the first one, I didn't tell my wife I was writing it until anybody. And it was like it was all these elements that are in this book that were there. It was just, drug cartels in South America and the Amazon and that kind of thing. And when I finished it, I was like, I had two thoughts. I was like, one, nobody's going to want to read this kind of book. They all want like Tom Clancy. So I was like, so what are you even doing, Ryan? Like, why are you even trying this? And secondly, I wrote it really fast, and I remember thinking like when I started, everybody in all the classes and that I saw these podcasts and stuff, people take like 12 months to write a book. And I'm like, okay, there's no way I wrote a good book if I wrote it in like 30 days to rough draft. Like, and that was what I did my first book in. I had no idea what I was doing.
Sean, 30. Dude, he writes like that, dude. They're 30
Yeah.
days.
So, and I'm not bragging about that. Like I just sat down for 3 hours every morning and I just wrote. And and it wasn't a long book now. Like when my first book was like 70,000 words. So don't think I'm writing like a 120,000 word book or whatever like that. So you can do the math. Like, if you can bang out like 2,000 words a day, you can get that first, and that's
All right,
first
let's
draft.
stop there.
So
I can't.
yeah.
500,
So like,
500 words a day is
Not,
it,
not on an
but
average day.
but I mean, so like I wrote this book and I thought it was crap, so I was like, I'm gonna throw it away. So I threw it away and I rewrote that story as like a straight Tom Clancy book. I've since turned that story into like a screenplay. But anyways, like I just rewrote it and took out all that adventure stuff and just told like the hard hitting like drug cartel story and like military thriller. And and then I was like, no, like this life came back and I threw that away and I deleted every copy of everything. And I just, we were renovating our house. I was doing it room by room by myself. My wife got pregnant. I was just like, okay, this is over. So like fast forward like 5 months later, I was going through my laptop and I found like on the cloud like one in like some folder. I don't know. So, you know how sometimes like it's
yeah.
in like multiple folders. Like I
Yeah.
found one copy of it, and I was like, wow, I thought I deleted all of this
Dude,
stuff. And
I didn't know you had deleted all of those things. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, the first book only. And so I deleted everything because I was like, I'm moving on. This is dumb. Like this was a stupid idea. I'm just gonna go back to journaling. And or I was gonna write me like a nonfiction history book or something like that, because that's like what I went to grad school for. So then um I found it and I reread it, and 5 months had gone by, and I was like, oh, and it was the first book, the Ethan Kane one, not like the military type thriller. And I was like, man, I really like this though. I kind of like it. I like it. So I gave it to my brother and I asked him to read it, and I was like, he's super straight with me, and I was like, hey, I know it's probably not like super polished or like anything you'd buy, but do I just asked him like, should I keep going or should I stop now? That's what I asked him. And he sent me back one sentence. I think you should keep going. So,
Wait,
you know,
what was it? One sentence?
I think you should keep going.
Yeah.
Like, he was just giving it me straight. Like, do I have some kind of ability here or am I just, dreaming? Um, so that, yeah, so him telling me that is honestly what made me keep going. And then right away, I like edited that book and then started writing another one. So,
Dude,
yeah.
Sean, if you knew, so he wrote a second book, the sequel to Blood and Treasure. Ryan shared with me the number of words he wrote every day for the second book. One of the days I was like, "You did how many words, dude?" Like,
10,000.
so annoying. Yeah, it was like over 10,000. I was like,
Yeah. My daughter was teething and
"No, no, you
I
don't have
had
to. No, listen, you don't have to qualify it. That's just
no. I'm saying like
ridiculous,
to say how I got that, I didn't get it in 3 hours. Like I woke up, my daughter was teething,
bro. That's a
so I
month
was like,
for me. Forget about one
I
day.
know, but it was like 2 in the morning, and so I was up early, and I helped her. She needed daddy to go back to sleep, so I did that, and then I was just awake. Like I wake up, I'm up, so I
Yeah,
was like, well, I'm just gonna get at this. So I got uber caffeinated, and I started writing. And then I wasn't feeling too good, so I took the rest of the day off. And it was like a snowy, wintry day. The kids were all holed up inside. It was just one of those days where nobody really needed me for the rest of the day. So I just kind of kept going. So yeah,
10K
I
words,
wrote
man.
all day that day, like all day.
It's awesome.
But
I
yeah,
had one day like that, but not in prose. I wrote 17 pages of a screenplay one day, which isn't that many words,
beautiful.
but it was just like
That's a lot, though.
it was like you. It was like I couldn't sleep. I started writing, and then I thought,
Yeah,
well, I'm gonna go to sleep in the morning. Fell asleep for like an hour, woke up and was like, okay, I gotta keep going. And then just the whole day was like a blur.
yeah.
And then at the end of the day, I was
Yep.
like, oh my God, I added 17 pages to the manuscript. But
It was
that was an
that
isolated
particular
event.
day too. It was like, the cardigan sweater that smells bad because it hasn't been washed, like the pajama pants that don't match, like your hair's all a mess, the glasses on, like it was just one
Yeah,
of
you
those
got the
days,
job
you know?
done, man. Whatever. It
That's
Yeah.
doesn't
that's the
work.
movie scene writer right there. That's what the cardigan.
Yeah, exactly.
And the publisher accepted it, and it was good. So, all right. So your military aviation background clearly informs the technical aspects of this story, but how did you balance authenticity with accessibility for readers who aren't pilots or divers?
Oh, interesting. Accessibility.
Yeah, yeah. How'd
To
you
be
narrow
honest,
it down, man?
I didn't really think about when I was in like the flying and the scuba. So my mantra when I'm writing is if I know legitimately and like an expert in what I'm writing about in the moment, I like to say I let my fingers fly. So like I just type. I don't worry about how much information I'm throwing at you. I write it like I'm there and I try and put you in my head. Um, as much as possible. Like I'll edit out stuff like if it's too much,
Right,
but
right.
for the most part, if I have a detail that I'm thinking about, like for instance, I'm starting up an aircraft, like you're thinking about a lot of different things. So I'll just run through it like I was actually there doing it, what I'm thinking in the moment, because I feel like, um, and I think it came out that way in this book, that I knew what I was talking about.
Hell yeah, bro.
So that is what's going to build the trust. Those scenes will build the trust. And then if I can write the other ones in a way that imitates that, but I don't know everything, like
Mhm.
I can try and get away with it. So I think that's how I get the authenticity. It's just leaning into what I do know and relying on that trust that I've built for the scenes that I don't. So
Works.
and then a lot of research, but also like research, you can over research stuff. So like you got to figure, or I tried really hard to figure out a way to tell the story that I didn't need as much information for the things I didn't know. And that, because this story could have easily been um, like totally bogged down with space station
Hmm.
nerdy knowledge and computer science stuff that like would have, I think, just ruined the book. And because it kind of did when I first was like, playing around with it, like it was way too much. So I tried to, when I was working my outline, like tried to figure out how I could do that in a different way. And it helps you rethink, like be creative, think about how to tell the story.
Well, this is research-based question as well. So your story spans again from space, and you just talked about how you didn't overdo it there, which you did not,
Yeah.
to Mozambique, to Ethiopia. Um, and when you're creating a global thriller like that, there, even if you don't get every single detail right in every country, because most of your readers haven't been to Mozambique or Ethiopia, how do you approach writing about those places that maybe you aren't as intimately familiar with from your own experience?
Um, yeah, I mean
Or are
the
you?
first, yeah, well, n- yes and no, like, um, you can do a ton of research. You can do a lot of like YouTube travel videos are great. They have,
Yeah,
people
we've
will
all
walk
done
through
that.
a
Yeah.
country. Yeah, we've all done that. But the thing is like, writing from that, you need to really write from your own experience and use that to flavor. And you guys know that. So whenever I was writing about a place, I would try and, because you can write about a place, but you can write about anything you're doing. So I just tried to think of other things that I've done in other places of the world that were kind of similar. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to, talk about, we're going into an elephant preserve because I've been into a preserve in, this part of Central America. So I'm going to think about that preserve that I've been to, but I'm going to write about this one. And, I'm going to go watch elephants at the zoo, and like, you know,
Did you
Yeah.
watch Lions, bro? Did you watch Lions?
oh yeah, I mean, I've spent tons of time at the zoo. Like my kids are like obsessed with lions. Yeah. Yeah, there's lions in this book.
Yeah, there are lions in the story. Yeah.
Spoiler, Lions.
No, it's
Spoiler.
not. Yeah, it's a spoiler.
It's
Lions and
well,
elephants.
if we say how, yeah, it's
No, there's lions and elephants,
there's
but no
plane
bears.
No
there's
bears, no
boats,
bears, which
No bears.
there's
it's the only negative
there's
I can find.
there's boat chases, car chases, plane
Dude,
chases, and train chases.
I was thinking
Planes,
about
trains,
that today.
automobiles, and boats. I threw the kitchen sink at it.
Dude, I was
and
thinking about
space
that.
and spaceships.
You have everything in there.
Every mode of transportation,
You
bro.
have you have boats and
Planes and
diving.
helicopters.
Yeah, planes and helicopters. Yeah,
Yeah. I did that on
diving
purpose.
boats,
When
train.
I told you I was writing something and I was going to throw the kitchen sink at it, it was like
Yeah, dude.
everything I possibly
Yeah.
could put into the book, you know.
He said that to
And
me, Sean. He goes, your next book, dude." He's like, "Throw everything you know, everything you can into it. Just do it. Just
or I
throw it
said
in."
that's what I'm doing.
Oh,
Whether it
you said
works
you
or
told
not,
me
we'll
to do
see.
that, and
Oh, I told you to do it?
yeah, you did. You're
Yeah, I
like, "You
did.
son of a bitch, I'm still waiting." Oh,
So for me, I have to find a plot that revolves around bears, football, and bourbon, and with cigars. So,
That sounds
bro,
pretty
that's a
good so
story.
far.
so far, what do we got?
Actually, you have some
That
of that in
sounds
your
pretty good.
story.
Yeah, I do.
You know, do you have bears in that story?
No.
No, you know bears. See, that's where you messed up.
Find a way to put the bears
Put the
in.
bears
So
in.
our family vacation, we're going to Gatlinburg next month, and the owner of our house said you will see bears every single day on the property, and
There it is.
that's all I need. Now the only thing I need to do is convince my children to prevent me from trying to pet said bears, and we'll be good.
Ryan, I don't
You
know
know,
if you know this, but Sean tried to wrestle a bear.
I didn't
Sean's
try. I
six.
wrestled. I just
He did,
lost.
yeah.
you
No,
did really?
he tried to win. So you
Okay,
can't
that
tell
needs
this,
to
but
be in a book.
Sean is 6'5". What are you?
Well, at the
What?
time, I was 255 pounds and in best
But
shape of life. But
best shape of his life, like,
I would basically come up to your belt line and look like a 12-year-old kid.
dude, that's me. That's me. I'm like,
And you're
I'm like,
taller than
Daddy.
me.
I'm like, Daddy, pick me up. Anyway, so I think you had just tried out for the Colts,
I was training for the tryout.
Oh man.
and he got into a cage with a bear, thinking he knew how to subdue it, pin it.
Chris is really telling the story wrong, but our readers have heard it, so I won't bore them with it. But we'll talk
He
off air.
lost. He lost.
That sounds great. I got to hear the story.
All right. So well, this is about you. So we don't know.
Exactly.
No, I want to know about it.
Well, he'll tell you. All right. So we got Blood and Treasure coming out July 22nd, like we talked about. But where is Ethan Kane headed next? Is there a sequel in the works? Any side projects we should know about? what can you tell us about any potential TV or film adaptations?
So, sure. I mean, I'll start with that one because I can't say as much. But
I know.
so right when the book came or the publisher's marketplace like announcement went out, um, we didn't do anything. Like within 2 hours of it going out, my agent was inundated, and I mean inundated by the top 10 um, like agencies out there, like you name it, UTA, WME, like
Film,
CIA, like
film,
all of
film,
them.
film people.
Film
Yeah.
people wanted, they just jumped on whatever was in their marketplace, and they all wanted to read it. And so we sent it out to everybody, but we ended up just going with WME before we waiting for people to read it. And they were like, they have a very robust literary packaging department, and
Right.
so we went with them. And it's been great. My film agent and my literary agent work hand in hand, and yeah, so they went out with it, and we got three major offers at this point, and we're just waiting to hear. And that's just in the first round, but we're just waiting to hear. And it was very quick, so it actually just went out recently. They were waiting. They were ironically waiting for things in Israel to calm down before they sent it out. And instead, it escalated, but they sent it out anyways.
2,000 years later.
Yeah, yeah, 2,000 years later.
Never coming down.
So like they were sitting on it for months. They were originally going to send it out in February, but they sent it out just recently. But it only took like a week. So the momentum is behind there, and I think I've said this to you, Chris. Like as I've been going through this process, like there's just an energy about the story, and like I put a lot of energy into it when I was writing it, and I'd like to say it was me or whatever, but like it's just the book. Like there's an energy about it everywhere that it's going, everybody that's picking it up. Um, it's generating its own like momentum, and I almost just feel like I need to get out of its way a little bit. And I don't say that to sound like arrogant or anything like that. Like I just feel it. Like I feel it when it's going out. Like I mean, like that story I just told you guys about WME. Like what? Like I had nothing to do with that at all. Like in any way, shape, or form. That's just something that's just been happening. Um, so like I'm super hopeful. That doesn't mean it's going to be successful or that anything's going to happen with it, but I'm taking that energy that I'm feeling from it and just, trying to feed into like the next book and stuff. So like anyways, so the next book you asked, so there is a book two. It was a 2 book deal. It has a pub date of June 2nd, 2026. It has a title, which I picked.
But you can't
But
reveal that yet, can you?
I don't think I should reveal the title
Mm.
yet because it's not like 100%, and I don't want it to change. But what I can say is
You love
that,
it.
and I'm not going to reveal where it is or anything like that because I got a whole thing planned for that, and
I
you guys
love
will
this stuff.
find out in a very organic way. But it's not like it's not just going to be like you took the characters and you just dropped them into like another story in a different location. That's not what this is. Like I wrote like a completely different. It's same. Some of the same characters are in it. I'll say that some of the same characters are in it.
Well, definitely
Um,
Ethan, right?
Ethan's in it. Lana Foster is in it. Bob
Oh,
Moretti is in it.
okay.
Uh, Maybe you'll see the Goodwin brothers. Um, but and that's also kind of a spoiler that I just said because that they're
No
even
more
alive.
spoilers.
But yeah, sorry.
We can edit that out
But
if you want.
Yeah, we'll
no,
bleep
that's
it. Well,
okay. It
I'm
is
gonna
what it
bleep that.
is.
Let's bleep it. Let's
It
bleep
is what
it.
it is.
Let's
Totally
bleep
bleep
it
it.
Okay, fine.
in the lip
It is what
reader.
it is.
In the
But
lip.
no, if I make the mistake, it happens. I'm already like three of
No,
these
no,
things
it's
deep.
bleeped.
But yeah, but what I'll say though is that like you'll find out some hints. That's what all the stuff between book 1 and 2 is for. It's for you to like learn some tidbits, get hyped. You'll know everything about what this book is going to be before it even gets like officially announced. Through that material. But what I didn't do is just write a completely separate book. Like Lee Child said that like he started his first book in like right field, and then he did his second book in left field, so he could like claim all the territory in between. Like that's kind of a controversial thing. So what I did was instead of doing something like wholly different, I gave you the same flavor the same hallmarks of what I feel like a blood and treasure thriller is. But the structure of the book is different. The way that it's told is different. The way that you fall into the story is different. Like it's not just like a carbon copy formulaic novel. The themes in it are different. Like I did something totally like different, and I didn't just try and one up my book with just more action and bigger villain and bigger set pieces. Like I just gave you another blood and treasure thriller that is, I think, I am extraordinarily proud of it. I think it's the best thing I've written to date. Um, and I think that people are going to be surprised and satisfied
Yeah.
when it comes out at the exact same time.
You,
So,
you know, it sucks. I know the concept, Sean, but I haven't read it.
It's the first literary musical, so you have to sing.
yeah.
Comes with a cassette tape. I can't wait. It's beautiful.
Oh man, no, I definitely leaned more into like the Michael Crichton
Hmm.
with this book than
Bar move.
there's still the
Cool.
Clive Cussler kind of
Yeah.
element, but I definitely leaned more into that element for this book.
Can't wait for
That's
it, dude.
fantastic. Well, man, this has been a true pleasure. This is like honestly, and I'm not saying this is one of my favorite interviews we've done. And
Oh man, thank you.
no, it's been great. Your answers, like you cover so much more territory than the average person we talk to, and we talk to great people. So I'm not at all putting
Sean, I
them.
told you you would love him.
Yeah,
I've
no,
been watching your guys' show since I started writing. Like I told this to Chris a long time ago. Sean, you probably haven't heard this, but like I took master classes, I took BBC master classes, but I watched author interviews, and your guys' show was great because you guys were asking questions from the perspective of a writer, and you drew out the little nuggets from the authors. And if you watch, like me, like binged watch, like I was like a little fanboy for Chris when we first met. Like he didn't even realize it. Like we're at
I'm a
dinner, and I'm just
fanboy for
like,
Chris.
"That's Chris Albanese." Like I've watched all of your shows. Um,
The dumbest thing you've ever said.
I know, man, but it was true because I was like just sitting there taking note with my
Well,
notebook out,
we
like,
got them drinking, and that was the most important aspect of it
That
because
is true.
yeah,
they let their hair down. No,
yeah, yeah,
we
oh, yeah. I've
talked
been drinking.
about we've talked seriously about doing a like
Cool.
wisdom from the crew reviews, not our wisdom, but
No.
every single author we've had on here has given me a thought-provoking point, some of them many thought-provoking points. And I think at some point we'd like to compile some of those tidbits because they're, you can break them down by theme, by
Yeah.
plot, by character, by every aspect of the writing process. I've learned every from everyone. I've learned a ton from you today, but it's just been enjoyable as hell. And I'm super excited about this book and all your future success. I love the innovation you're bringing to the promotion, and we're gonna do everything we can to tout the shit out of it.
Amen.
Oh, thanks,
So
guys.
Sean, let's raise a glass because Ryan has, dude, you've completed the traditional portion of our interview process. Here it
Oh,
is.
you didn't tell me.
Cheers.
I'm lighting up.
I'm. Oh, are we good on time?
Oh, we do. We're
It's all
good.
your time, man. It's all your time.
This is about you. It's not about us.
Oh, you know what? So if you want a teaser for book two, all you gotta do is look behind me.
What?
So
What?
like
Where?
if you
Where? There's a lot of
behind
stuff
me.
there.
So
What?
I
What
took
am I
your
looking
advice,
at?
Chris. I took your advice, Chris, after my first podcast, and you were like, "There's nothing behind you," and I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
my wife's an interior designer, and we got to work. So
She
like,
is.
if you see stuff
Hmm.
that is from book one, that's from book one. But if you see stuff that's not from book one, it might be like that Makarov is from book one. But what is this
What? Yeah. Why?
Mongolian cavalry
Why?
sword? What
Wait.
is that?
Where's the globe on, Sean? The globe is on
North America and South America.
North America. I don't know if that's right.
Oh.
Wait. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Oh, there we
Okay.
go.
Now it's right.
Actually, you guys got to see this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Take it out. So I know when you
I've
got
showed
that.
this to
Where
you,
got it.
Chris, but
Dude, that's awesome. Pull it out, man.
hold on.
So
Wait, right here. Here's the.
yeah, there it is. Can we see it because of the
Can you see it
glare?
with the light?
No,
No,
But,
no, you can't.
oh, there you go, right
a little
there.
bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
There it
Can
is.
you see the detail and the head and everything?
fantastic.
It's so cool.
Anyways, it's a Mongolian cavalry sword.
Where does one find one of those?
Yeah. He knows a guy. You got to have a guy.
You got to have a sword guy.
You got to have a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're from Jersey, you got a guy.
And then each one of these things, so like there is treasure and stuff
Mhm.
in the book. So this is actually book one, this is book two, and that's book three. So someone it may be like a year or something might nerd out on this to figure out what's in book three.
I nerd out on it, dude. I love it. So, Sean, should we get into the lightning round?
Sure, because you didn't tell me we were doing one, but that's okay because I
Oh,
can.
are we doing a lightning round?
You will go first.
Yeah, I'll give
He's
you
gotta make
5
up
minutes to
questions
come
now.
up with some questions, Sean.
I can
I'm not good
improvise.
at these anyways.
So-
I'm way too long of an answer.
Yeah, no, dude. Listen, so we gave you the traditional portion of the interview where you gave us really great answers to some, to our questions, man. Loved it, and I knew you were gonna kill this interview. But now
This was really just like our normal
I know it is.
conversation
I
on a
know.
Wednesday.
That's why I knew you were gonna kill it. That's why I knew. But now I'm gonna give you the stupid questions, and hopefully you do really bad on it. Hopefully,
Probably will.
no, you're
I'm
not.
I'm pretty tipsy.
All right. So, dude, I don't know. I'll ask this one. All right. So, do you think, because you and I, we talk a lot about belief, religion, you know, spiritual, and talk about the Bible.
Yep.
Do you think the Ark of the Covenant still exists today?
Ooh, that's a good one. So, plug, if you go to my website, if you go ryanpote.com, click on the tab Book Club, and you will see a document that I created. Within the pages of this, when you're writing the Ark of the Covenant, like it can be camp, it can be, fall into the old tropes. So I wanted to make up my own trope. So I infused the book with Old Testament vibe and secret Old Testament scriptures that are buried throughout the book that actually deal with the moment that is happening in the book. There's a guide on my website for free. It's PDF on Book Club. You can download it and you can find these little treasure hunt scriptures all throughout the book. And then there's discussion questions afterwards that talk about this very thing. Learn about the Ark of the Covenant, learn about all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe that the Bible is the true word of God. So the Bible doesn't really say exactly. It says that it's gone.
Gone,
It
yeah.
implies that it was destroyed.
Right.
It says that it is in the kingdom of heaven
Right.
in the end. So that's what the Bible says about it. But at the same time, like there's a lot of other things that have been written, like extra biblical literature that have their own theories about it. So, I mean, are we ever really going to know? I mean, who knows? There's, I mean, I wrote about the Kebra Nagas theory, which I won't get into 100% because I don't want to give a lot of it away.
Yeah.
But I think there's been a lot of research into it. I mean, I could see that. I could see that being being it, and that's why I wrote about it. So if you want to find out where it is, you'll read the book. And
Yeah, definitely, dude. I love that. It's a great answer, and that's what the answer I was hoping you would give. So,
you can't know the answer I'm going to give ahead of time.
Of course I can. Here's I know the answer you're going to give for this one as well. What's the deepest you went free diving? So hold on, don't answer this. Just like when I talk to my kids, like I ask a question, 90% of the time I know the answer, right? As parents,
Aren't the lightning rounds usually like what would you do in a zombie apocalypse with like if you only had
dude, we don't
Yeah,
do
well,
anything
since
but
Chris didn't tell you that, you'll get that from me. So,
Okay, cool.
But no.
100 feet.
100 feet
100 feet.
free diving.
100 feet. Yeah,
How
to
do
the
you
deck
do
of
that?
the Sea Tiger, the SV Sea Tiger off the coast of Hawaii. It's sitting in 120 feet of water, down to 100 feet. Like we used to dive down and like tie off to the boat and stuff like that.
How?
So, I mean, you practice a lot. Like, so the longer everybody has the ability to do it, by the way. We all
many
have
minutes?
what's called to do that,
Yeah.
less than 3.
Okay.
Less than 3. And the thing is when once you get comfortable with like the pressure in your mask and you just get comfortable with it, like you actually have more oxygen the deeper you go. So that need to take a breath goes away the deeper you go. So like the partial pressure of oxygen like increases, so oxygen gets more concentrated. So you're actually taking in more oxygen, like the deeper you
Hmm.
go. So it's when you come up that you have the problem because it expands. Now there's no more oxygen anymore because it goes back to its normal
Because your everything
density.
compresses, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it goes back to its normal density and your body's efficiency to process it.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you come back up and now you have not your super highly concentrated oxygen. You feel like you could breathe forever, and also your urge to breathe comes from CO2. So when you compress CO2,
Mm.
that
Okay.
also reduces the body's urge to breathe. So then when you come back up, the gases expand in your lungs. There's not a lot of oxygen anymore. There's a lot of CO2. All of a sudden so people will what's called shallow water blackout at like 15 feet. That's like the big, so,
Bad
but
day. That's a bad
everybody
day.
can do it. Every single human can hold their breath for at least 3 minutes. You just need to know that you can and just do it. Like, just hold your breath. I mean, you work
Dude,
through
I
the
learned that in your
convulsions.
book. I learned that in your book.
Yes. But like with training, I mean, like Tom Cruise just did it for the new movie. He went to 6 minutes. Like anybody can do it in you can take a freediving class in
You went to
in like a
6 minutes.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do a freediving class in a day, and by the end of your first pool session, you'll be holding your breath for like 5 or 6 minutes. So, and the thing
Stupid.
that happens is when you freedive, when you warm up, you could like 30 feet, your organs shrink and your spleen enlarges. So your organs become like half the size that they normally are.
Hold on.
And
Hold
then
on.
your
I know.
what?
Chris needs to do that for
What?
his liver.
Not for my liver.
Oh,
Are
okay.
you, are you under pressure, Chris? Are you always under pressure?
Always, always. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's like an
This is the
Austin
lightning
Powers
round.
moment.
This is
It's
the
like an
lightning
Austin. It's like an Austin Powers. That's not mine.
round.
But yeah, so your organs become half their size, but your spleen enlarges, and your spleen actually pumps extra blood through your
Blood,
body.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it's
yeah.
for. It's for diving. So your spleen works like a pump, and it starts pumping blood faster than your heart does. So like you you end up like getting more oxygen. So yeah, like everybody has the mammalian diving reflex. It's the same reflex that dolphins have, whales have. We have it
Fascinating.
too.
Yeah.
And there's dudes that pearl dive in like Micronesia. I forget the name of the tribe, but they can
I
hold
know
their
who you're
breath for
talking about.
16 minutes. Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know
Um,
it was that long. That's incredible.
it's incredible. It's incredible. So like what the human body can do underwater, it's amazing. And what's cool though is even if you just splash cold water in your face, so cold water on the skin of your face is what activates the mammalian diving reflex. That's why you feel better when you wake up in the morning, splash some cold water in your face, you take a cold shower. It's because you're lowering your heart rate and your body is basically preparing to dive in the water and hold your breath. So it goes
Why
into
would
like
human beings who are surface dwellers, why would we even have that reflex?
it is wild. Here's another fun fact about the ocean. So like your blood is mostly salt, right? Like
Mm.
salt, your blood is salty. Ocean water um, is about the same salinity as your blood, which is interesting. And you can eat anything from the ocean raw, well, mostly anything, and not be affected. But you eat like, you know,
Beef.
unless you're at a high end like beef restaurant or whatever, like what does they call that, like carpaccio, or I don't know. But
Yeah.
for the most part, generally speaking, most things in the ocean you can eat raw, whereas you
Dude, I
can't
didn't.
really do that here.
That's
Yeah,
fascinating.
land. Yeah, it's very
You learn
strange.
something
It's
new
very
every day.
strange.
I was just saying, this is officially one of the most educational lightning rounds in history of the show.
It's
Just,
very,
just
very strange.
because of
Yeah.
my stupid question. I love it.
Well, my issue, and I know we're going way out on this lightning round question,
It's not
but
fun.
I can hold my breath for a long time without. I mean, I haven't not those levels. I've always been pretty good about it, but
Yep.
I have a problem with the pressure.
Hmm.
Feeling do you learn to regulate that the pressure in
Yeah.
your
In your
okay
ears. Yeah. So like you can swallow, or you can do like the nose and blow. Like the Valsalva, like everybody should be able to do it by just swallowing. Like if you have some kind of like tonsil problem or something like that, you just have to get comfortable and know that you can do it. The
okay
plugging your nose and blowing, some people have to do that, but our bodies are designed for you to swallow and you automatically Valsalva. So like for me, like I just take a swallow when I'm diving and I don't have to use my hands or anything like that to plug my nose. So yeah, it's just getting comfortable with it and practicing it. And then yeah, it's like the Valsalva reflex is like a muscle. So the more you train it, the more you like flex the membranes that are in your eustachian tubes,
And it
the
just
easier it
happens.
becomes
I'm
to do it.
stoked to put this into use. I really I'm not, I love the snorkel and like I go
Yeah.
down to a certain depth, but like I'm always like there's always that one point where the pressure gets to me.
Mm.
Yeah. You
No.
just gotta relax, know that you can do it. You're not gonna die and just, or you're not gonna, you might get
Maybe,
those convulsions, but
maybe he'll
they'll
die.
pass.
Maybe.
He won't die. He won't die.
Ryan's a dive master, or used to be. Are you
I
still?
was a dive instructor for
Oh,
six
okay.
years. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, longer than that, but yeah.
So here's another dive question. My last one: has a shark ever attacked you while scuba diving?
No, but a monk seal has.
A monk seal.
Yeah. Monk
What does
seal.
that look like?
Monk seal is like an
It's got like a
endangered,
little
like a,
hair
A,
around his head, but
Is it
yeah,
like a
yeah, yeah.
capuchin? Right.
They look like they're not like little seals. They're big. They're like 800 pound like seals. They're
Okay.
native to Hawaii. But I had one like following me one time, and it was biting my bubbles as I like was breathing out. It was like snapping at my bubbles.
Okay.
And my boss was scuba diving in front of me. And for those of you who've read the book, he used to wear bright orange jet fins. So now you know where I got that from.
Okay. Cool.
But he's in front of me and he turns around on his back and he's looking at me and I'm just swimming behind him. We're in a single file line of like 10 people. It was like a company outing that day. And he's going boo, boo, boo. And I'm like, what? And I roll on my back and look over and there's this big ass monk seal, like huge monk seal, and it's just snapping at my bubbles and I'm just kicking backwards. But once I started kicking backwards, all my bubbles went down my body past my fins. So the bubbles are just leading up to my fins. So he starts getting closer. I start kicking faster and he just goes like boom, 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 and then chomps my fin and then swims away. But he was big. He could have effed me up. Like
yeah,
he was big.
they're cute as hell, but they're dangerous.
Until
Yeah.
until it bites you. Sean,
Yeah.
that's my last question. What do you got?
Okay, well,
Here we
my
go.
first question is, all right, so you are an archaeologist or an adventurer like your character, and taking the Ark of the Covenant out of the equation,
Okay.
what ancient relic or uh, legendary like missing item are you pursuing? Are you
Don't say book
obsessing
two.
about for your entire life?
No book two. Don't you can't
That
mention.
I'm spending my entire life
Well,
searching
I
for.
mean, what's your white whale of relics
Ooh.
or items?
I would say allegedly missing piece of the Japanese imperial regalia. If those of you
Elaborate.
don't know, the Japanese imperial regalia is an ancient tradition of a sword, a mirror, and a jewel. They were supposedly given to the first Japanese emperor by some like divine being. And when someone in the Japanese imperial tradition has them, they are the emperor. But no one has actually seen them um, since World War II, and they have them quote unquote, but they're in boxes, and no one's ever seen them before. Um, so there's a lot of theories about them, but
Cool.
they're apparently super old, and I would just really love to see what the sword actually looks like.
We're totally gonna see that in a book, Sean.
Okay. So now going back to combining that with your diving experiences and such, how much of the Legend of Atlantis do you think is based on a real event, and how much of it is
With
made
book
out of
two.
whole cloth? Book two, really?
This is gonna be no, not book two. No,
Oh,
I'm saying this is gonna
oh,
be another book.
oh, gotcha. And how much is made out of made out of whole cloth? I mean, do you believe that it, like a lot of legends, there's a significant amount of truth to it, or
I think I do actually, because there's not just the um the original story um as told. I'm blanking probably from all the bourbon by the ancient dude who first told about it, but he got that story from Egypt, and there's further Egyptian texts that talk about the same thing, and the Egyptians actually believed that they were um like the refugees from this thing. And when you date it with the Egyptian records, it goes back to that 11,600 year BC mark, which is like very much coinciding with what we now, or what most people agree on, was what's called the Younger Dryas period. This period of world cataclysm with rising oceans and melting glaciers and coming out of an ice age and possibly a meteorite impact. There's lots of theories about how everything happened, but there was like a global reset and the waters definitely rose.
Yeah, they could show that. They could show that scientifically.
Yeah, they know that happened. So there's something going on in our past which everybody's talking about, and somebody died off. When you look at like ancient technologies that people had, it's clear that we don't quite understand what was going on. You know, like they had some kind of knowledge that we don't fully understand what it was. You know, was it comparable to ours? Was it more advanced? Was it just different? But there's something there. So I believe in those things. But the most recent work being done by total people who aren't even archaeologists, I think is the most compelling. I forget the guy's name. I'll have to find it and give it to you guys. But it involves like the reshot structure. Have you guys heard of the Eye of the Sahara?
No, no, I haven't.
Yeah. So the reshot structure is like supposedly a geological formation that they've known about since the Apollo missions, but it's a giant circular, like it's rings within rings, like in the middle of I think it's Mauritania in West Africa, North
the
Africa.
rings within rings is what I think was Aristotle or
yeah,
Plato.
yeah, and
Those guys said
there's
that's what
some
the
people who
last
say it's like a geological feature, but no one's been able to like actually explain geologically how it was actually formed. And what's crazy is now they're starting to look at like the floodplain path with all the satellite imagery that we have now from the Mediterranean across that plain of North Africa, and then looking at ancient maps that depict North Africa, the Sahara, as a fledgling, like savanna. It wasn't a desert, basically.
Yeah. Which it is now, obviously.
Which it is now, and there was also lakes all in that area, and then Atlantis is actually marked on a map where the reshot structure is, an old Greek map. So I love these ancient maps because they're so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because the way they did old maps, like it was secretive and people didn't share things. It was proprietary knowledge. So you have all these different maps, and they used old maps to make new maps. So you have this weird transfer of knowledge where people didn't even understand what they were, transcribing onto newer maps. And so I think that's fascinating. I think I'm going to have to find that guy's name and send it to you maybe you could slip it in post, because he has some YouTube videos. He was just, it was so compelling. He was just on Joe Rogan's show actually not too long ago to talk about it all. But I think his case is the most compelling, that Atlantis was actually up there. So.
Love it.
Fantastic. All right, my final question is going back to your helicopter days. What film has the greatest helicopter scene in that you've ever seen?
That I've ever seen?
Or just what, like if I said name badass helicopter scene in a movie.
I'll give you the one that makes me laugh the most. How about that?
Hey, whatever works.
It's a movie with The Rock, and it's San Andreas.
Okay.
He's a helicopter rescue pilot, and at one point I was watching it.
Yes, I remember that.
With my wife, and the point I was taking it as a serious movie until he did some maneuver where he said, "We're gonna tip the hat," and everyone says like, "What?" And then he like is in a canyon and he like turns the helicopter sideways and like dips the rotor arc like between something and like comes up. I just remember watching that and just being like, okay, you lost me there. That is so like, I thought this was a serious movie. I didn't know this was the Last Action Hero. Like, this is like ridiculous. Yeah.
So it wasn't anything with Blue Thunder.
I was just saying
Blue Thunder was real. It's real.
No, it wasn't Blue Thunder.
I just remember as a kid loving Blue Thunder and Airwolf. And I remember
Airwolf and Blue Thunder.
Airwolf.
Okay,
yeah.
Airwolf did the full like
it was in the opening credits.
Yeah, like the thing. It was just like
Airwolf was good.
So poorly filmed on that loop de loop though.
It wasn't poorly filmed. It's
actually
I loved Airwolf.
Yeah. Here, you want another one though?
Yeah.
So because I was actually like, a helicopter pilot. So I'm like the things that were like real and cool, like you're talking about, like um didn't get me. It's the things that like are not real that get me.
Mhm.
So like when I grew up watching Top Gun, and I'm like, man, it's such a great movie that made me want to be a pilot. But now I watch Top Gun, when those guys rescue Goose, I mean, the dude hit the canopy. He clearly had any ejection, you automatically think they have a cervical injury. So you do
Yeah.
not ever pull them out of the water. He's coming out of the water like this. Like they probably killed him. They
Right there.
probably
He was
killed
like-
Goose.
He was still alive.
He
That's a
needed
really
a
good
spine
point.
board,
That's a really good point.
Anybody out there, Coast Guard, Navy, you'll know what I'm saying. He needed a spine board. It was a beautiful sunny day, or he needed a double lift, which is 2 freaking rings in and someone holding his head the whole way up. I'm just saying, the way they killed Goose, rescuers killed Goose.
Is that how we're ending the show? Like, that's crazy. But that's
That
how
is
we're
funny
ending the
though.
show.
That's true because he does. He looks like a rag doll, like on a freaking string going up.
They killed him. He
And-
ejected. You automatically think cervical injury. Anyway.
Tom Cruise killed Anthony Edwards. There it is.
Yeah.
No, but hey, speaking of that, did you notice that how the plot of Top Gun Maverick was the U.S. going to destroy an underground uranium enrichment program in a country because it was a threat to our allies, not because it was a threat to us. The plot, they even mentioned it was a threat to our allies. I thought,
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
Yeah.
With,
I mean, like I
F-15s
said, I'm
not
not
being too
inventing
stuff.
anything new. We're just all looking at what's going on.
Great movie. You know what else is great? Blood and Treasure.
Dang.
Coming out July 22nd, right?
Yeah.
I've said the date so many times, it better be right.
July 22nd.
Ryan, dude, I love you. You're a fantastic writer. I wish you tons of success. I don't have to wish it. I know it's going to happen, but I'm going to raise a glass. Cheers, brother. Thank you for coming on the show.
Your empty glass here.
This has been a fantastic interview.
I'm like 4 deep. You guys, I think it's on video how high this bottle
yeah,
was
there
when
it
we
is.
started. So
The
Four
fact that you
branches.
gave,
it's a school night. What are you guys doing?
dude, cheers to you,
Cheers.
man. Hey, Sean.
Yes, sir.
What we got here? We got Blood and Treasure. We just had on one of our best guests of all time. How long have we been doing this? 5 years?
5 years. More
Ryan Pote.
than 5 years.
Ryan Pote is a debut author. I've known him for several years. Great friend of the show. He's been writing for a while, but his first book coming out happens to be Blood and Treasure. Is it safe to say that he's amazing, awesome?
No, he literally, like we've done this show like for almost 6 years actually, and he's one of my favorite guests ever.
He's beautiful.
And I'm not being,
Oh, I know.
I'm not exaggerating.
I know. He's we started the interview 5.5 hours ago. That's not even a joke, people. 5.5 hours ago. The interview ended up being 2.5 hours, and then we spent 3 hours, which you won't see because we didn't record it, talking to Ryan because he's one of the most interesting guys. His experience, his background, his faith, his storytelling, the way he has turned writing and into a new career for himself. He's an amazing person. I love the guy. So, coming out July 22nd, Blood and Treasure, Ryan Pote. Sir, I'm going to raise a glass to you. I don't know if Sean has any more booze in his glass. Probably not, because he drank it all.
No, I do.
He does. We're going to have a sip, and we'll see you next time.